Greetings everyone, my name is Etterville, and welcome back to my Let's Play of Mega Maker. During the last part, I browsed the new queue and played 10 levels. So in this part, I'll go back to playing some levels that I found on Twitter. I said I was going to play some levels that I found on the official Discord, but some issues popped up, so that'll be pushed to another episode. In the next part, I'll be trying out some levels that I found on the official website. But for now, back to the Twitter ones, starting out with this level. As usual, I'll be completing 5 or 6 levels at the bare minimum. Unfortunately, the server errored out for some reason. Let's try this again. Sometimes it occasionally happens, unfortunately. And I updated to version 1.0.3, which should fix the issues that were present in the previous part, aka randomly the scrolling refusing to work. Apparently, version 1.0.2 was rather buggy. So first up is a user-submitted level, or viewer-submitted level. Tatooine, Star Wars, Japan, 1987 Namco, created by KingMart64. 10 plays and a score of 5. From what I've heard, this is a recreation of that particular level from the original Star Wars NES game made by Namco in 1987. Quite a long title, but it isn't the longest title I've seen. So let's see how this plays. I haven't really played that original title, so I'm not exactly sure how faithful it is going to be to that one. We only have the Rush Coil and Mega Man 5 or 6 Charge Shot. No sliding either. Okay, we're forced to use Rush Coil. That's an odd placement of a baton. We have this bunny. Yeah, I don't know how accurate this is going to be to the original enemy types in that game. Wow, there are a lot of these. I'm just gonna damage boost out of here. Especially because of how many there are. Probably that wasn't the best idea. Okay, 3 enemy types. Solid progression in difficulty. I still find it odd that the batons are in mid-air. Oh, there are Coltons too. Oops. I need to reset my controller settings. Oh, never mind, they are working. I just think the sliding is disabled. Never mind. I'm just gonna ignore that extra life. Okay, fair enough. Solid level difficulty progression. A little bit of a short stage, though. Okay. And this goes into the teleporter right to the other side of the room. Interesting. After this, I'm going to double check my controller setup just to make sure my sliding key or sliding button is set correctly. I think it got reset in between the versions, unfortunately. Solid placement of checkpoints too. Good work, KingMart. I did play 1 or 2 of your levels before, so there's definitely improvement happening. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to cross this, so instead I'm gonna use Rush. Better safe than sorry. I thought there was going to be a secret over there, but apparently not. Oh, and that's the end of the stage, and... okay. That was an interesting method of completing the stage. I see, we get the spaceship or space shuttle over here, and we take it to ride out of this place. That's the creative way of implementing it here. Next up on the list is this stage. Spring Water Processing Plant by Keirostarr, 7 plays and a score of 0. And I just checked, apparently my controller setup was remembered, so there was no problems at all. And Nightman is the boss, apparently. Let's take a look at this. Okay, the Mega Man 4 Final Wily Fortress team. Okay, we're entering the fortress, and we have Mega Man 4 physics, it seems. And we can slide, let's see... NATO, Shine, Charge Kick, and Rush Coil. I probably want to keep the Shine on eventually. Especially because the Charge Shot isn't as good. Oh, that's a creative way of getting across, too. Because it maintains the water physics, that was a little bit odd. We had the boss door and it ends the water physics there. Okay, we have a nice waterfall drop here. Okay. Whoa. Jumping on these springs, especially underwater, gives you a very high boost. You'll see it over here. Crazy, actually. Let me just use the NATO. Not the NATO, the Shine. That'll make this a lot easier. That way I can just deflect all the shots back at him. I'm just gonna ignore this and charge kick away. I always like it when level designers give me that option. There we go. The Mach Tornado is always useful. Unfortunately, it drains a lot of special weapon energy to use. That's the only problem with it. Okay, I can't get across, I'll need to just destroy it manually. Yeah, the Picket Men are always the biggest trouble in this game. Thankfully, the Croakers aren't in this title either. You saw how many if you watched my Mega Man Endless Let's Play, you'll know how many problems Croakers posed for me. I'm just gonna charge kick him to death. That's the easier solution. I think the drop rate for all these tadpoles also was nerfed, because in Mega Man 3, they had a higher chance of dropping a lot of goodies. I'm gonna take the right route, see what's... Okay, it was worth it. Just make sure to have charge kick energy left over, otherwise you'll get stuck. I phased right through the boss door over there. Another minor bug. If there's one thing I've noticed about this game, it's a lot more buggy than I would have expected it to be in version 1.0.0. Maybe for a beta version, but still, this feels a little bit more buggy compared to many other Mega Man fan games, and during their official releases, or even in their beta stages in some ways. Okay, Nightman, who starts at the top part of the screen. You need to get him to drop down. Okay, he's not gonna drop down. Or is he? Okay, he is. What is his weakness? Of course, it's the NATO. I mean, the Shine. Are we gonna stare infinitely at each other? I thought we were gonna stare infinitely at each other. I'm just gonna use an M-Tank here. This is the end of the stage, after all. Never mind, I can also... What is his weakness officially, anyway? Oh, it's the NATO. Figures, I thought it was the Shine, but apparently not. It was just because of how damaging it is in the first place. Well, still, this is a fun stage. Although there should have been more emphasis on the water part of the processing plant. So I'll definitely give this a thumbs up. Good job, Keirostarr. And as usual, all the comments, or as a quick disclaimer, all the comments I'm giving, apologies if I'm a bit too harsh. I'm just trying to, this critique I'm giving is so that we can become better level designers as a whole for Mega Man Classic. After all, making a good, or at the very least decent Mega Man stage is much harder than it looks. It's actually rather hard. Next up is Plantman's Radioactive Return of Revenge by Byucknah. 5 plays and a score of 1. I'm just waiting for one particular stage to pop up that'll take much longer than the rest. Okay, Dustman's team and... Okay, this background. And I do know I can replace the NSF, the .NSF musical tracks for something else custom, but I'll keep it the same for now. It would have been a lot easier if I could actually, if they supported MP3s or OGGs. That way I could replace it with almost anything. Like 16-bit remixes of each of these tracks. That would be awesome. But unfortunately we don't have access to that yet, unless they decide to add like PS1 musical tracks or something. Oh, okay. We have Rush Jet for some reason. I'm just gonna use it to circumvent the stage. and do stuff like this. And we only have Mega Man 4 charging physics, unfortunately. Charging style. I wonder what this has to do with Plant Man. I don't really see the radioactive waste yet. Take care of the Tatahos. I forget what these are called. I really should check. Whoa. Still, this is a nice place for quick platforming, and you are rewarded, and there's no instant death. Eventually I'll need to go back a few steps and actually check what weaponry I have, and what's the name of each of these enemies are. That way I can actually refer to them by their actual names. Well, that's certainly a step up in challenge, but it was introduced well, so I don't mind it. And there's several places where if you play well, you'll be rewarded. And of course, I always have access to Rush Jet to circumvent most of these challenges if I find it to be a bit too difficult. Also, nice placement of checkpoints too. And now we're finally in the forest. With harder versions of these jumping challenges, so solid difficulty scaling for the stage. We started out with easy introduction of all these platforming gimmicks. Now we have much more difficult versions over bottomless pits and whatnot, with enemies trying to shoot us off, like all these caterpillars specifically. Whoa! And I got surprised over there. Still, solid difficulty progression. This is currently my favorite stage out of the bunch, or the 3 stages that I played overall. Of course, I could just circumvent this entire challenge by just rush-shitting my way across. After all, it doesn't take that much weapon energy to use. But I suppose this is for players who aren't that good in the first place, so at least the developer gave me that option to skip the challenges if I wasn't that skilled at Mega Man, or if I found the stage too difficult. And don't worry, there will be a part or few parts dedicated to really challenging stages, or Kaizo levels. I'm stockpiling on those. Okay, the stage is still going. Okay, and now we have more difficult variations of challenges, like we have all these caterpillars and Coltons that we have to fight at close quarters. I have a hunch it's going to be a very tight enemy placement. The ceiling isn't that low as what I would expect it to be, so I'm okay with this. Nice placement of that Tataho. Of course, now there's spikes. I always freak out during these spike segments, so I'm just gonna rush shit my way across. Alright, I got this challenge correctly this time. I kept repeatedly falling in the pits, so at least I got it. Unfortunately, the issue here is now we have all these Coltons and combinations of caterpillars trying to attack me. Still, that's a difficulty progression. I just got stuck at the one particular part of the stage. But that's to be expected. And thankfully there was a checkpoint just before, and now we have the boss fight against Plant Man, and we have that bottomless pit we have to worry about. Or is it a bottomless pit? I'm not sure. Unfortunately, I only have access to my Charge Shot and my Mega Buster, so I'll guess I'll have to do Mega Buster only. At least he can't regenerate his health when I shoot his Plant Buster, or Plant Shield. The little things. Try staying on the top of the platform so I can easily shoot him. And then jump over his plant barrier. And there we have it, Plant Man has been defeated. So yeah, this was definitely his radioactive revenge. More specifically a dead pit revenge. I didn't see any radioactive water, but I suppose that's due to a lack of tile sets. I did like it, and I'll download it for future use or future inspiration. Next up is ToadMan Temple by Panta35. 12 plays and a score of 3. Or was it 4? And of course the boss is ToadMan. To be fair, I selected this one out of a bunch of levels that they created. And we have more waterfalls. If there's one thing I would also like to be added in the future game, or in future releases, it would be the tosses from all games, as well as most enemies. But it was not in the initial release, so that I could save time for other things. Still, it's kind of disappointing because the original release of Megamel 1, which also took a similar amount of time to develop, maybe even less amount of time, Megamel 2 specifically, that actually had most enemies and most tile sets. So kind of disappointing. But still, at least the base game is solid, it's just that I would like more features and assets to be added to make the experience more whole and for there to be more variety. Well, that's unique. We have 2 pathways we can take, and this pathway gave us access to an E-tank, or an M-tank specifically. If I took the leftmost pathway, I would have gotten an E-tank as well. No issues with scrolling, in fact, in this part, so at least that's definitely fixed. It's always so satisfying when it can kill the enemies by just reflecting all the shots right at them. I better stock off on it just in case it's the boss weakness or something. I think there's a secret to the right, or goodie, so I better just destroy all this stuff. I just need to make sure not to get killed by all these big eyes. Oh, never mind, it's just a way of circumventing the harder bottom part of the stage. Oh, whoa, that's a lot of Sniper Joes there. And, well, the octopus batteries are adhering Susies. I should have just used the elect beam more, especially because it pierces. Oh, whoa! The slide motion. I was really hesitant at making that jump over there because it's just 2 pixel close for me. Let's take the bottom route this time and see what it has to offer. The harder route, basically. Really wish there was a checkpoint nearby, though. Still, it isn't too far. To be fair, the bottom part of the stage is a better introduction to the next challenge above, with all those tight quarters against all those Sniper Joes. I need to get much closer to him before I can actually reflect the shots. And of course, if I get close enough to him, I can just shoot to the Sniper Joe shields. I want to time it just right so I can hit multiple Sniper Joes at once. Like so. If I fall to the left, it's basically instant death, so it doesn't really matter if I destroy Sniper Joe or not. Yeah, I never really liked these jumps. I always tend to fail them at least half the time. Okay, I made it this time. It's always the having to jump at the last pixel that causes some problem. Let's hope I have enough weapon energy left for the boss fight. I wonder if there was another path that led up here. I'm curious. Oh, this is one of... If there's one thing in this stage that I've noticed is that in several segments you're forced to use special weapons, otherwise you will take damage. I don't mind forced weapon usage in these scenarios, as long as you have several places to actually restore your weapon energy. And there are plentiful large weapon energy drops, or large life energy drops, so I think the designer taught it that. I'm just going to take some hits over there and get across. But of course, I'll take as much large weapon energy as I can. I don't really have any way of restoring my weapon tanks. This is definitely the hardest stage out of the bunch, or out of the 4 stages I've tried so far. I'm waiting for that telly to respawn and get across. It seems that enemies are getting rather generous in terms of their weapon drops, or weapon pickups. Oh, that's a bit too close there, whoa. I thought I was gonna die there for getting hit by the telly. We're getting progressively smaller and smaller platforms to fight these Sniper Joes. I really wish there was more variety in Joes though, like we had some Hammer Joes or something else. Because the Sniper Joes are from Mega Man 2, so they have a ton of health, I think 12 HP or something. So I'd rather have at least some Sniper Joes who are lower in health. Okay, I think we made it to the boss fight though, so I do appreciate that. And we have the boss fight in the same type of room as Bubble Man, but with ToadMan instead. I'm just gonna do it Mega Buster only. Might as well, it's the faster way. And the safer way. And he has his exact same pattern from Mega Man 4 unaltered. If there was one other thing I would like with this game, in addition to altering the special weapons, add an option to have an alternate AI for each boss so they're a little bit harder, like perhaps a hard mode. I know the Megamble 2 Dev Kit bosses did so, and because of that ToadMan over there is a little bit more challenging, or can be more challenging. Otherwise I like this stage, although I would like at least one more checkpoint in between that earlier segment, where I kept dying on. Also, I keep thinking that search should be like, you have an option to search between name and search by ID. Like I said, there is enough space to put enter ID and random level on the first screen. Next up is Battle Kid Area 1 by Inviso. 14 plays and score of 5. As the name suggests, this is a remake of the first level or screen or block of Battle Kid, which was a homebrew game, or rather it's a more recent game created for the NES. I never played Battle Kid, so I'm not sure how accurate it is. Or how accurate it is to the stage design of that level. But I do know at least the first screen, and I think it is accurate. We had the Mega Buster, NATO, and we have sliding, good. And I do remember Battle Kid was a bit more of a non-linear title, where you had to find upgrades and destroy the bosses. So it does replicate that with having multiple pathways. I'll take the upper pathway and I'll probably replay the stage to take the bottom one. And unlike Battle Kid, we are not a one hit point wonder at the very least, so it makes it a lot easier. If I had to play this game with just one hit point or this level, it would be a lot more of a pain. But here I have a lot more tolerance for failure. Okay, I was trying to get... Never mind, I thought there was going to be something else to circumvent the challenge. Also, unlike Battle Kid, we don't have as many discrete scrolling segments. Here, the section is connected, at the very least. Oh. This is gonna be a problem. At least I despawned one of them, because I had no way of just damaging it without getting damaged myself. Well, that's one way of getting across. A lot of instant death spikes. Still, at least I need to jump into them in order to be killed by it. That's a bit odd. The background was a bit cut off here, and it's not continuous. There's one thing about this stage, it's kind of lacking in enemies compared to the previous three stages. That's not really a bad thing, it's just that this stage seems to focus more on the environment. To be fair, Battle Kid 1, or the Battle Kid series, or at least one from my memory of the random playthroughs and speedruns I saw about it, it had a bit more... it was more sparse on enemies, but to be fair, you were a one hit point wonder, so... But the stages were kind of big, though. But I'm quite enjoying it. At least it's not as challenging as some of the previous stages, especially the previous stage underwater, or like that one spot in the Radioactive Revenge of ToadMan. Whoa! I didn't jump fast enough. And of course, just like Battle Kid, the checkpoints are a little bit more sparsely populated than what I would like it to be. Still, it's not too far back. But if there's one thing that I would like to make speed up the process, it would be the charge shot. Specifically for the Sniper Joes. Seriously, I really wish they had the future game Sniper Joes with less health. That would be really helpful. Whoops, I meant to pick that up. I know there's a way to jump up on that one pixel, never mind. Oh, let's take a hit over there. Do this correctly this time and jump up here. Slow introduction of gimmicks, good. Nothing too crazy, but it's fine. And if there's another thing I would like to be added to the editor, sorry, I'm having a long list of suggestions to the editor, so I'm probably gonna have to compile them into a list. It would be to control how much the enemy drops. Or the enemy drop rate so you can make them higher or lower if you want. Okay, there's a checkpoint right over here. Kind of strangely placed, but I suppose it was the same way in Battle Kid. This is certainly one of the biggest stages I've gone through. Whoops, I didn't make the jump there. I'm just gonna kill myself and see what that jump is. Or see what's in the other side. But from what I see the level structure and from what I remember from speedruns, it seems to be quite a faithful, at least faithful reproduction or remix of the original Battle Kid in terms of area and stage design. Oh, and I think you needed a special weapon in order to open that. Alright, after 10 or 12 deaths I finally made it across. This is the hardest challenge of all levels of my current video. It's just that pixel-perfect jump that always ends up messing me up. My goodness, I really wish there was a checkpoint here because I don't want to have to repeat that section over and over. Oh, of course, there are these blocks, just like in the original battle kit. You know, you need to collect some upgrades from defeating bosses or find them in the world in order to progress. And from my minuscule knowledge of battle kit just from speedruns, I think this stage overall is pretty accurate. Or feels pretty accurate. That's the most important thing. And it is rather hard, maybe not as hard as the original battle kit, because there, well, you only had one hit point, as I keep referring to that fact. And the stages in battle kit were also pretty big too, so that also fits. And there are several precise platforming segments too. Thankfully, there are a lot of large energy pickups, or life energy pickups, right at these checkpoints. And we're at the boss. Oh, of course. That would be the shortcut to the boss. And we're fighting a whole bunch of Skeleton Joes and ToadMan. We only have access to... oh, yeah. We only have access to the Buster only, and we have to dodge all these bones. Well, that's certainly one way of making the ToadMan fight much harder. Because we have to keep dodging all the bones. But it isn't too hard. Like I said though, I really wish I had at least the Mega Man 4 charge shot to deal with all the Sniper Joes. They really killed the pace of the stage, personally speaking. I really wish they were like the future ones which had only 9 HP or less. Well, I got him stuck in a certain pattern, so even though it's a little more challenging than the original fight, it's still very much stuck in a pattern. And yes, I just tested it, you can actually die at the end if you get killed just in between the interim, just before Mega Man does his pose and the victory music happens, and just before you, or just after you kill the boss. I'll take a look at this stage later, but this is definitely one of the more unique stages of this game. It isn't my favorite one, that was, I think, the third or fourth level, but I did like it. Alright, last level of this part because it's going on for quite long. Or at least it feels that long because all the failures I'm editing out. Alright, drop to top. 3 plays, score of 1, made by Panta35. Interesting. I don't remember hearing ToadMan's theme anywhere in the game, maybe just only once. We have Metal Blade, Windstorm, Star Crash, Magnet Missile, Top Beam, and Top Spin. We have infinite use of the Magnet Beam too, Metal Blade too. Well, let me take the right route, even though I think I should have taken the left route. So it's just a drop stage, basically, with a lot of enemies, and we have 3 methods of going through the stages. And there's always checkpoints in between each drop segment. Let me take the left route. This is a relatively simple stage. I think we're always going to keep going down, but it's fun, at least. And it can be quite challenging with all the enemy spam, or all the enemies trying to shoot me from all different directions. And I do need to take care of and pay attention to all the enemies firing me from all directions. Oh, I should have taken the right route so I can get access to that E-tank. Oh well. Well, I do have access to 2 E-tanks over here, so I guess it makes up for it. I guess the challenge is trying to whittle down your health as you keep going down and down. It's the simplest gimmick, but it's still fun to go through. Okay, 2 sections for where the boss is. Of course, this ToadMan with all of those other things, all these platforms on the top. What is his weakness? Of course, it's the wind tornado. And I got stuck there and died because I couldn't jump between the platforms. It's like what happened with the count bombs earlier in the battle kick stage, but at least I have a checkpoint right behind me. I need to be right below so I can actually use the wind tornado. And that was the fall stage. Simple gimmick, but pretty fun. The main challenge was not dying to the swarm of enemies attacking me from all 3 lanes. We can always just take a chance between the left and right lane, but we always have enemies in the middle, so we gotta be cautious. I somehow got through it with only 1 dead, so I consider myself lucky. Well, I suppose this is a good time to end off this part. I finished 6 levels, but 2 of them were quite difficult. Specifically the Radioactive Revenge of ToadMan, specifically at one section, and the Count Bomb segment, which I kept dying a dozen times on the Battle Kick recreation. And on that note, in this section I really wish there was something like a recent queue of levels you played through, so you can at least replay them if you really want to. This is really helpful in the case that you play dozens of levels on stream or something. So in the next part, I'll be playing at least 5 or 6 more levels, but that time I'm going to be using or looking at levels that were submitted or shared on the official forums. Well then, thanks for watching and have a nice day. Toodles!